nice there. Okay, yeah. Let's get nice and comfy in my rolly chair. Hey, Witch. I know. It's been a hot minute since we've done a pre-recorded video on this channel, but you know what? Here we are. Let's get this shit over with because it's going to be cringeworthy. Get ready. I'm ready for the cringe. I'm ready. Hey y'all, it's been a hot minute. How you doing, Alex? So, I know it's been forever since we've had a pre-recorded video on this channel. So thank you all for those of you who are tuning in. And I highly encourage you to hit the like button, comment if you have questions, or if you just want to, comment. And if you feel up to it, hit the subscribe button and share, because I'd love it if you gave me some good vibes. Some good vibes coming my way would be awesome. So I was sitting around today and I was thinking to myself about a working that I recently did, and that's still kind of in the works. So I don't want to give too many details on that, but at least not at this time. So I was thinking to myself, do I want to share this work? And as I'm thinking about this, I was thinking about a video that I did over almost 5 years ago. It's been about 5 years. So it's almost 6 years ago. And I thought to myself, I remember that video, and how has my practice changed since then specifically? If I were to go back and watch that video and rewatch, would I agree with everything that I said? Also, I am not a huge believer in remaking videos and reposting videos with the same point over and over and over and leaving them up. I mean, I know it's a thing, algorithms are a thing, remaking videos are a thing, but I find it kind of pointless to leave or have like 6 videos up regarding, how to start your path in witchcraft and all the things, So what I'm going to do today is, rather than watch the video privately, I thought it would be fun to remake this video, but not remake it. Basically, I want to pull the video up and I want to watch it with you all. And I want to do a live reaction. Basically, I say live, but you know what I mean. I want to do a reaction video as well as a remake, all in one, if that makes sense. So we're going to watch that video, and then I'm going to basically either let you know if I still feel that way about the subject or not. And I don't know if this is going to be the only video I do about this. This is kind of a last minute thing. I was just like, I should do that. That would be fun. That would be cool. But if you like this, if you like doing this with me, or this type of video, if it turns out great and you love it, let me know and I'll see if we can do more, So with that being said, this video is, as you can tell from the title, Ethics of a Witch, Curses. And I really want to see if what I believed almost 6 years ago still holds true today. Because I think now is a very different time than just 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we're talking before TikTok. We're talking whole generations have come to paganism and witchcraft. So I really want to see what the comparison is with my personal beliefs and if my practice has changed. Look at that, first of all. Look at that hair. Oh my gosh. Those curls. Oh my gosh. And the color. Y'all, I was blue night before my hair was blue. Let that be known to everybody. Let that be known.
So this discussion, the reason why I bring that up is because it comes from Facebook. It started from Facebook, so I'm just going to say that right now. I have a lot of pagans on my Facebook, a lot of witches. So this video is pretty much going to be for us that identify as witches or warlocks or spellcasters in general. So I'm on Facebook the other day, and I see where some...
First of all, I have to say, cringe. I hate listening to myself, and I hate watching myself. And that will never change.
Somebody is doing a social media spell, more specifically, a social media Facebook curse / hex, whatever you want to call it. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of bring this discussion up and let you guys know how I feel about my witchy ethics. Ugh, I can speak today. Witchy ethics.
Blue Knight, you couldn't speak then, and you still can't speak now. Let's all get over that right now.
And I kind of wanted to get a ball rolling on a discussion about this, because I don't think this is something that we discuss a lot, and it kind of makes a big difference on what path we follow. First of all, let me say that I have nothing against cursing or hexing or the like. I typically do not curse and hex. Me personally, I feel like spells are a very personal thing. So if I don't feel something deeply enough, I'm not going to cast it.
So right away, I'm like, I was saying things like, I don't typically curse. So I don't think typically is the right word. I think I should have said here, well, typically may have been okay. I think it would be more clarifying to say that I don't cast curses lightly. I don't consider them for every issue. This can be said for curses, hexes, jinxes, whatever you want to call them. I definitely don't take those things lightly, but we're not even a full 5 minutes into the video, so let's hear what else Nate has to say.
That's why most of my stuff is very much rooted around myself, my family, my friends, people who are close to me. With that being said, I will curse, I will hex if I feel it's necessary to do so. Don't mess with me, don't mess with my family, that kind of thing. Okay. Aside from that, will be all good and great.
That's still very true now.
A lot of my protective spells, like I put a protective spell in a lot of my books that I'll loan out to people. Mm-hmm. They have a anti-theft spell on them that is both a protective spell and an offensive spell, to where if somebody would deliberately try to take these or plan to take these, nothing good's going to come of it. Very true. Stuff like that. That's I started out and...
But also, that kind of proves my point now, too, is that I've also just learned not to lend my shit out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could cast a spell for it, but sometimes it's just like, okay, common sense, don't lend your shit out.
I started out as a Wiccan, and I still very much feel like it's not a good thing to be sending bad, negative juju out to people, The world has enough negativity in my mind as it is, so I don't think it's necessarily a wise thing to put out negativity, to whip out our wands, if you will, for anything willy-nilly.
I would change here now more than ever. And I think that it's because of the social climates that I, as an adult, an older adult maybe, have had to, that I and friends have had to go through. And in a way, I feel like maybe now I'm a little more aware than what I was back then. And I'm an adult. I can own up to that. So I feel like now I understand more so that not all low vibrational workings are negative, if that makes sense. And sometimes we have to work with low vibrations in order to make higher vibrational changes, and vice versa, if that makes sense. I understand that now. For example, change in a society may not happen unless there's rioting, unless there's a revolution. You can't get growth unless there's death. And death, or, things that we consider, I guess death wouldn't necessarily be a lower vibration all in all, but those lower vibrational things aren't necessary. You know what I mean? Like everything, think of it like an ecosystem, and particular vibrations matching up to particular members of the ecosystem. The birds need the worms in order to keep the cycle going. And I think that curses are necessary, especially when it comes to, if you want to learn how to remove them or to heal. I think you have to know how to harm.
He made some sigils and was posting these sigils along with the original post, saying, if you feel like, if you wouldn't mind to add to my fire, basically, he's already done something and he's going to keep working on it. He wanted his the witches that he has friended on Facebook, to kind of add to the fire and add their energy to it. And a lot of people were saying, done, we're doing it, whatever. And it was kind of like he had two sigils. There was one for the male and one for the female. And the man's, was so nothing good came of it, But the female's was to kind of help her through getting out of this relationship and just kind of help assisting her,
Okay. I don't remember
So,
this.
reading what I read and reading what
ADHD.
he says is going on with this woman, I immediately was angered. My mother very much raised me, intentionally or not, as a feminist. I have very feminist ideas, and just
Intentionally or
what
not.
he put in this post was angering me. I was getting very worked up and very upset about this, and nobody, male or female, should go through this. But it very much made me want to contribute. However, the more and more I thought about it, because I told myself, walk away, calm down, think about it before you act. The more I thought about it, the more I thought it wasn't really in my place. And maybe that's an excuse that I'm coming up with, or maybe that's like
I said, I can't remember the situation, and I'm trying to remember if I was working with the Morgue at this time. I think right around this time is actually, just judging by the background, because I remember being in this particular apartment and I did my dedication to the Morgue in this apartment. So I'm thinking right around this time was when she started really heavily speaking to me and really heavily leading me down the path that I'm on as far as working with her. And one thing that I find interesting with her is she is very, very hot-headed when it comes to certain things. And now I kind of act on things without questioning her. just because we've worked together for so long, that I know if she comes to me and says, this motherfucker needs to go, you need to do work on this. Um, I know it's pretty much justified, and I don't know about anybody else, but that was one of the hardest pills to swallow, and that's just me. I don't know. Other people may have a different experience with her, but I have. If you were to ask me, because she is a goddess of war. I mean, she's a goddess of other things as well, but she is a goddess of war. We can't deny that. So, taking action for people who are oppressed is something that she expects of me, very highly so, actually. And there are times I know people have said, "Oh, Blue Knight, you are a voice of reason. You are so calm. You are so, professional. You're so cool and collected." Actually, no. I do have a spark, a raging river, if we want to call it that, since I'm a water sign. But that is a thing for me. And she often knows how to activate those triggers and pull things like this to my attention. So I'm wondering if I was super enraged because of that. I was also still learning to get comfortable with my, I still hate saying it, mediumship, and during this time. Hell, I'm still getting used to it now. But I'm wondering if that was why I felt a certain way, and that certain way was so strong with me. So, and just something interesting to think about. Let's continue.
The bystander responsibility thing, but I feel like we should definitely know who we're casting on. If we're going to cast anything on somebody, I feel like we should definitely know who they are, how it will affect them, at least.
I absolutely agree with that. I feel like we should absolutely know who we're casting on and how it will affect them to some extent. Yeah, you can cast on a specific person, but you can also cast on a specific system. In this situation, since we didn't have a lot of details, the Blue Knight now would say, well, that's fine, just contribute towards the working, but contribute towards it in your own way. Rewrite the spell or the curse or the jinx or the hex to work for the particular system that's oppressing said person. That way you don't have to worry about basically hitting the wrong person, which is, in my opinion, a definite threat. Also, if you don't have a specific target, no, do I necessarily believe in instant karma? Not necessarily, but I do believe that spells, because I have experienced it, I do believe that workings can act against you. Think of it kind of like a boomerang. If you don't have a target in mind, then your boomerang is going to fly around and it can come right back and bite you in the ass. And you can kind of also think about that when it comes to not just curses and things, but also just every action that you do. Every action in life has a reaction. And so you want to make sure that you can map these things out as clearly as possible. And if you don't know specifically what your target is, whether that be a person or a system or a company or what have you, and obviously the broader you get with your target, the more risk there is. I also want to make sure I mention that the spell that I'm bringing to attention in this video had a lot of reliability on sigils. And I've said it in my Witching the Web series, and I'll say it here as well. I do not like using other people's sigils. Unless there is a really big cultural context for my personal culture, I don't prefer using sigils. because sigils that somebody personally creates is awesome for them. However, you may look at that sigil and there may be lines that hold high importance to them and why the spell works, and you have no idea what that means, what that sigil means. You only know what it means because they told you, oh, it means this. And that's not only for your safety when casting, but also because when you do the work, when you do the work, you want to make sure that the work works. And I think it's better if you were to sit down and you can be like, they use the sigil, I think I'll do the same thing. I think that's perfectly fine, and I think it's perfectly fine to use spells out of books or use spells that people post online, as long as you can understand them completely. Even if the words don't flow right with you as you say them, it's not going to be good. So you should make sure the spell and the sigil completely resonates with you. So, okay, let's go back.
Have a pretty damn good idea about as to how it will affect them. To just send that energy out, there were no pictures, there were no names, no nothing, which could get somebody in trouble if he posted. But
yeah,
to just send that out willy-nilly,
willy-nilly,
with no direct idea of where it's going, it just didn't feel right. Does that make sense? It just didn't feel like it was going to help much. I don't know the woman, I don't know the man, I don't know their energy, I don't know. But my discussion topic or my question to my viewers, if you are a witch or if you practice spellcraft, do you curse? Do you hex? How do you feel about that ethically? And if you do curse and if you do hex, would you contribute to a social media curse or hex?
Also, something that occurred, I'm sure everybody remembers, Trump getting cursed. And I'll go ahead and I'll say it right now, y'all. If you are a Trump supporter and if you don't want to hear me talk bad about that man, I'm sorry. You should go ahead and you should leave this channel right now. Right now. I'll wait. It's just interesting, it's interesting to look back and think about these things and really just hold yourself accountable, but also understand that you do have a responsibility. I still believe that curses and things are very sticky, and you not only have to know how to do it correctly, but also how to cleanse yourself of those things correctly. I've also done myself disservices by not retaliating, and that's another lesson that I've learned again quite recently through my matron, is that your voice matters, even if it doesn't matter to whatever's social system is in place, which I know a lot of us feel like right now it doesn't, but it does to the universe. So you have I would not only, so I guess I should say, I would not only say, yes, I cast curses, but I would also encourage others to do so, as long as you're doing so responsibly and you make sure you have all of the facts. These are really good questions, though, that I posed in this video. I do like the questions. If you remember this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you were thinking then and what you think now. So yeah, I'd love to hear it, and I would love to hear, do you curse? Do you do you work with lower vibrational energies? Do you, send things out to people? Do you send things out to a particular system? Do you, and you get what I mean when I say system, right? And would you take part in a social media working against a particular person or entity or group or whatever? I'm really curious. I do want to know. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, do all the things.